Today is Monday, December 23rd. We'll tell you about the deal lawmakers reached to prevent a government shutdown without any time to spare. Also, what parts of the country are expected to see snow in the days before Christmas and Hanukkah. Plus, workers at both Amazon and Starbucks are now on strike. There's now yet another reason people may start using popular weight loss drugs. And there's a new trend in holiday shopping. Those stories and even more news to know next. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. It might have taken 3 tries, but Congress was able to reach a spending compromise and avert a government shutdown. Lawmakers were able to push the deal through just after the midnight deadline early Saturday morning. President Biden signed it later that day. And everything kept running as usual since the government doesn't typically shut down if it's clear the funding shortfall will be resolved soon. This deal keeps the government funded until the middle of March. It also provides $100 billion in disaster relief and $10 billion in economic aid for farmers. Plus, it fully funds the reconstruction of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. But it does not include everything that was in the original bill, like there's no restrictions on investments in China and no pay raise for lawmakers. It also does not address the debt ceiling, like President-elect Trump was pushing for. Instead, Republicans promised to raise the debt ceiling and cut spending next year. Democrats have not weighed in on that yet, with leaders just saying we'll cross that bridge when we get there. For now, lawmakers in both parties are calling this latest compromise a win. President-elect Trump gave what he called a small preview of the revolution coming for the U.S. He spoke at a youth-focused conference full of 21,000 Trump supporters, mostly in Make America Great Again merchandise. During his 90-minute rally-style speech, he spent the most time talking about immigration, promising to close the border on day one. Trump also said every Mexican drug cartel operating on American soil will be, quote, dismantled, deported, and destroyed. But he got the biggest applause when he spoke about transgender issues, saying the belief in only 2 genders would become an official government policy. And he promised to ban diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Trump also brought up the Panama Canal, saying Panama charges fees to American shippers that are highly unfair. He even threatened to take back control of the Panama Canal, but the country's president responded to say that won't happen. We are now just 28 days until Inauguration Day, or as Trump calls it, Liberation Day in America. Holiday shoppers got a horrifying shock when a man drove his truck into a Texas mall. 5 people were hurt, including a 6-year-old. Authorities say it started with calls about an erratic driver on the highway. Officers ended up chasing him until he pulled off the road and drove into the mall. The driver was shot and killed by police. But that wasn't the only tragedy involving a vehicle over the weekend. Another man plowed his SUV through crowds at a German Christmas market. 5 people were killed in that attack, including a 9-year-old boy. More than 200 other people were hurt. Authorities arrested the suspect, a Saudi psychiatrist who has lived in Germany for 2 decades. Law enforcement officials in Germany say they still don't know what motivated him. But they've noted that on social media, the suspect has been a frequent critic of the German government and of radical Islam. In fact, the Saudi Arabian government warned Germany about the suspect on several occasions. So German authorities are now facing questions about whether they ignored warning signs that might have prevented that attack. This has also stirred up tensions about immigration in Germany. Over the weekend, a rally calling for mass deportation drew thousands of people. Today, another anti-immigrant rally is planned, followed by a march mourning the victims of the attack. The U.S. Navy shot down an American plane in the Middle East, but it appears to have been an accident. It happened as American forces were attacking the Houthi militant group in Yemen. And thankfully, the 2 American pilots on board the fighter jet that was shot down were able to get out okay. One of them just has minor injuries. Now an investigation is underway. Well, drones are now officially banned over parts of New York and New Jersey. The FAA imposed restrictions in the face of ongoing mystery drone sightings that have been fueling concerns and some conspiracies. The new restrictions cover areas over critical infrastructure like electrical control centers. Authorities say they still haven't detected any threats to public safety or national security, but they also don't know who is flying the drones or why. The FAA, FBI, and Defense Department are still investigating. Wintry weather is coming to much of the country this week, just as more Americans than ever are expected to travel far from home. This is actually the first time in 20 years the first night of Hanukkah has fallen on Christmas. It seems that has almost everyone out at the same time, despite some messy travel. Today, snow and mostly rain are falling in the Pacific Northwest, and the western Great Lakes are getting another round of snow. Tomorrow, on Christmas Eve, rain is expected all along the West Coast, the Ohio Valley, and the Southern Plains, and snow is expected in the Northeast. Good news is, as long as people can get to where they're going, weather after that shouldn't disrupt many holiday festivities. Most of the U.S. seems to be in for mild weather on Wednesday. If you're hoping for a white Christmas, you could be in luck. In parts of the West Coast, Midwest, and northern New England, there will still be snow, at least on the ground. More news still ahead, but first, this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. It's the holiday season, and it's almost the new year, too. So if, like me, you're thinking about what you might want to do differently in 2025, I also hope you'll take the time to appreciate the things you want to stay the same, even the small things that went well in 2024, and to give ourselves credit for that. My guess is most of us don't thank ourselves enough. Well, therapy has helped me do that more, and this time of year is a great time to start being kinder and more grateful to yourself. If you're thinking of starting therapy, which I recommend, consider giving BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/newsworthy today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/newsworthy. Okay, now back to the news. Regulators have signed off on a new use for a popular weight loss drug. The FDA approved Zepbound as a treatment for obstructive sleep apnea in people with obesity. In case you're not familiar, Zepbound is the same kind of drug as Ozempic, Mounjaro, and Wegovy. And the fact that the FDA has signed off means it's more likely that insurers like Medicare will cover it. Right now, most insurers don't cover drugs for treating obesity alone, only for other uses like diabetes, and now sleep apnea, which causes people to have trouble breathing while they're asleep. In trials, the condition often improved when patients lost weight with Zepbound. The drug maker says 15 to 20 million people in the U.S. alone may suffer from both obesity and sleep apnea. And researchers are now looking into whether the same class of drugs could be used to treat even more conditions, like addiction and even some cancers. A Starbucks strike that started Friday has expanded just ahead of the holiday rush. Baristas at locations in Seattle, Los Angeles, and Chicago began the work stoppage on Friday. Then the strike expanded to 9 states over the weekend. The union representing the baristas, called Starbucks Workers United, says the strike will continue to grow, reaching hundreds of locations across the country. The workers are protesting a lack of progress on contract negotiations, especially on pay. The union says Starbucks' current offer does not keep up with inflation, making it effectively a pay cut. Though Starbucks says it already pays competitive wages and offers good benefits. It added that its operations have not been significantly impacted by the strike. Meanwhile, another major American company is seeing its workers protest during the holiday rush. Amazon warehouse employees and delivery drivers expanded their work stoppage over the weekend. Locations from California to New York are being targeted with picket lines and protests in an effort to force Amazon to negotiate a contract with its workers. The Teamsters Union says it won't back down during a time when many people are ordering gifts online, though Amazon says it has several contingencies ready to make sure customers don't see any shipping delays and that the protests have not had an effect on operations so far. Another well-known retail chain is shutting down. This time, it's Party City. The company says all of its stores will close and all employees let go by the end of February. And that's the end of an era for a business that's been around almost 40 years. The announcement came just 2 days after Big Lots announced it would stop operating too. Just like with Big Lots, Party City says clearance sales will be happening around the country until all stores shut their doors. Baseball Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson died over the weekend. He was one of the greatest players ever to play the game, finishing as the sport's all-time leader in stolen bases and a member of the prestigious 3,000 hit club. Henderson played for an incredible 25 years in the majors with 9 different teams, but he's most identified with the Oakland A's, his hometown team. After winning the World Series with the A's in 1989, he won the American League's Most Valuable Player award the following year. He was also a showman who said he modeled his energetic, confident style on boxing great Muhammad Ali. As many reports point out, that helped bring a new generation of fans to the game. but wasn't always appreciated by baseball traditionalists. Henderson was 65 when he passed. Ever since, other baseball legends have been paying their respects online. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was the big box office winner over the weekend, beating out Disney's Mufasa. The third installment of the Sonic franchise finished the weekend with $62 million from North American theaters. Lion King prequel Mufasa, on the other hand, only managed $35 million, well below what was expected. Despite Mufasa's slow start, it helped Disney become the first studio post-pandemic to top $5 billion at the box office in a year. A lot more Americans are expected to head to the theaters on Christmas Day, which has become a tradition for many families. And this year, a few highly anticipated movies are coming out on Christmas. There's the Bob Dylan biopic, A Complete Unknown, a remake of the vampire horror Nosferatu, and Nicole Kidman's new erotic thriller, Baby Girl. That's it for the main news, so now it's time for Money Monday, when we talk about one interesting money-related news story. But first, thanks to our sponsor, Trade Coffee. We've all been there scrambling for a last-minute gift that doesn't feel last-minute. With Trade, you can send a coffee subscription directly to someone's inbox in minutes. It's fast, easy, and guaranteed to impress. I love that gifting a Trade subscription is not just gifting coffee. It's an experience. I can tell you from having a Trade subscription myself that it makes drinking coffee so much more enjoyable. I love getting that fresh bag of coffee in the mail, feeling the excitement of trying something new, and sipping on delicious tasting coffee that I know is high quality. So when you gift this type of experience to a loved one, they'll think of you every time they get a new freshly roasted coffee perfectly matched to their taste from one of the top small batch roasters in the USA. So, are you ready to cross that last gift off your list? Trade Coffee is offering their best savings of the year on gift subscriptions right now. So head to drinktrade.com/newsworthy to send a personalized coffee subscription in minutes. Again, go to drinktrade.com/newsworthy while Trade is offering their best savings of the year on gift subscriptions. Now back to Money Monday. No one has to feel disappointed if Santa doesn't bring them what they want this holiday season, thanks to a relatively new trend. Self-gifting. It's just what it sounds like, gifting yourself a gift for the holidays. It's more popular among younger gift-giving generations. A Deloitte survey found almost half of millennials and Gen Zers plan on buying themselves a gift for the holidays. And it's not just a little stocking stuffer we're talking about. The average amount people plan on spending for a self-gift is $250. Millennials in particular are more likely to gift themselves experiences like concert tickets or a trip, rather than products like clothes. These findings come as part of broader trends that seem to show more optimism about the economy in general. Holiday spending is expected to jump about 8% compared to last year. All right, thank you so much for joining us today. A quick note, we are taking the next few days off for the holidays, but we'll be back on Friday to catch you up on everything you may have missed. In the meantime, you can also check out our episode from Saturday with expert strategies to easily get your holiday pictures organized and even how to better manage your phone's camera roll in the new year so you can actually enjoy your memories. That was our special edition Saturday episode over the weekend. Thank you again for joining us today. We'll be back on Friday. All of us here at The Newsworthy wish you and your family a very happy holiday week.